Welcome, all good people of the universe. It's been forever since Scott and I got together on a Friday. We've had a whole bunch of scheduling conflicts, but the gang is back together again. So, Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing? I like the new picture.
Yeah, it's I'm sitting here in the future. It is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, Scott, because I realized I'm in love, Scott.
What'd you realize?
I realized that I'm in love.
Who are you in love with?
I'm in love with the Dog Bites newsletter from Scott Redler. So go to everybody here, click the link in the description in the tweet on YouTube, t3live.com/show to get Scott's free trading newsletter on Monday morning. So Scott, it's like,
By the way, I just gotta say something about that.
hmm?
That looks like cadence. I don't know
it's
if
it's a golden doodle. So I just put into ChatGPT, make a picture of a golden doodle with a stock chart, and this is what came up.
well, it's good that I'm a little past it because usually I see a picture of a dog that looks like cadence or I talk about it, it would bring tears to my eyes. So it just goes to show you that with time, time heals all wounds, right? So you can deal with something difficult or some kind of tragedy, and you grieve and you move on. I actually just did a 6-minute push-up video with Phoenix. Everyone who's in my push-up club for for Father's Day was like, could you make a 6-minute video? How you do your push-ups. So if I want to have some motivation to do push-ups, so I just did a 6-minute video I'll put out this weekend with little Phoenix running around. So I'm starting to fall in love a little bit. I still see little pictures of cadence in my head, but you know what? The one thing you could learn though is like, when you lose something, it hurts. And so don't take what you have for granted. Like if your parents are still alive, send your mom or dad a text every morning just saying, hey, good morning, dad. Have a great day. Or, hey, mom, I hope you're feeling good. And, because one day you might not be able to. So I have pictures of cadence in my head. Even though I have a new dog, I still think about it here and there.
Interesting. Push-ups very good. So, Scott, I recently learned that if you can do 40 push-ups in less than a minute, your chance of having heart disease goes down by 96%. So,
I had a heart surgery and I could do 40 push-ups, but it had nothing to do with that. That's why we're doing push-ups now. I think in the 6 minutes I did about 145, but it wasn't about the amount. It was about the form and it was about different types of movements. But anyway, that's cool though. Any kind of fitness. Listen, you do any kind of fitness to keep your mind right. That's how you execute on the X's and O's. Every chart looks kind of similar, but if you don't have a go time and if you don't have the brain power to execute when you're supposed to, or honor your stop losses, or recognize what's happening around you, you're just going to be a deer in headlights. So again, any kind of fitness, anything to keep your routine and process firm, and moving along, that'll help you execute on whatever it is, the strategy you have going in the market.
Okay, everybody let us know where you're coming in from. Of course, we have Itch in Ridgefield, Connecticut, Todd in Louisiana, Peaceful Trader in San Antonio. Okay, so Scott, you used the word brain power. I think a lot of people just, when they hear brain power, they think of just maybe like raw mental horsepower. But when it comes to trading and performing, what do you mean by brain power?
It just means, with trading, a lot goes on, right? Early in the morning, I get up so I could frame my day. Early in the morning, I look at what's going on with the futures. I think about my positions. I'm actually doing that in a real sauna, not in this little sauna, but in a real sauna. And I'm framing my day. So whatever is happening, some mornings are easy. Sometimes you take home a lot of risk. Yeah, things close well. Futures are up 15, 20 handles and you can trim into strength and life's, hey, so easy. Sometimes, you wake up, futures are down 60 or 70 handles or more, 120 like we had twice in the past month. And you have to say, okay, this is going to be a day. How do we deal with what's happening? How do we make sure we make the right decision at the right time versus, just not? Sometimes you have to salvage trades. Sometimes you have really big opportunities into times of volatility. But all in all, if you don't think about and internalize and come up with multiple plans in your head on how to deal with the day, when the day is moving, you're not going to be able to either salvage the trades or embrace the volatility and turn it into money. Because on those down days that we had on those Mondays, lots of spaces were very, very viable. If you were scared and worried and you didn't, have confidence in your ability and in what you're doing, you could have lost a lot. And there was a fine line. I'd say 2025, the line is very thin between losing a little and losing a lot, making a little and making a lot, over trading, being in the wrong name. So preparation is one of the keys to my success, and So having the brain power to come in every single day and execute is hard for a trader. So you better make sure your routine and process are strong.
Okay, so let's get into a little bit of talk about 2025. So this year, it's like if we look at like the indices, like all the big ETFs, basically everything is green, but it doesn't feel like everything is green. So how would you actually describe the market we're seeing in 2025?
That's funny you said that because I talk to a lot of different people. We have what 500 to 700 people on the alpha team. Some guys are doing fantastic. Some are very frustrated. Some were doing great and then had a few leg sweeps. I talked to some guys that manage a few $100 million and they're struggling. But then but then you look at those percentages. A lot of times it happens so quick, and then you miss the move that you weren't expecting. Then you try for the second or third move, and there's none. Like even today, the market was kind of strong. And I'm like, so many of these names are kind of broken. They're starting to call the MAG 7 the lag 7, meaning there are two names that have been buyable that you can't trust because it's hard. Meta and Netflix are the two best stocks out there right now. Dips are buyable. Those are two tricky ones to trade. I think we have Netflix on power plays. People are making some good money. But then you have Google, gap down, hole in the chart. Microsoft, hole in the chart. Today, Amazon, new hole in the chart, didn't feel much. Tesla acting horrible the last 2 weeks, not special. So there's a lot of haves and have-nots out there. So if you're in the strong names and the weak ones are making lower lows, it's hard to trust the strong ones. And a lot of people are kind of pressing those. And if you think that, hey, this is going to be a level and it's not, you have to get out and revisit and try it again because it could always be lower. So it's a difficult time. I actually was the high of my year, like probably I think almost a week ago, and I've had a few, not I'd say pieces of bad luck, but there have definitely been some days where I lost more than I had to. And actually, it was probably in Tesla because Tesla's had some predatory moves. So for me, listen, it's only February 7th. There's a very smart guy out there that said I think there's 240 something trading days in a year. So if you have a bad day, big deal. You have a lot more of them. If you've had a tricky 1st January, hopefully you're not in a hole and you can dig your way out. But just keep it in perspective. So, if you want to run through a few charts, I'd love to do that. And, but if you have your foundation, so, you want to be long things above the 8 and 21 day, not short them. You want to be tactical with names below the 8 and 21 day because they can get to the 50, the 100, or the 200. You only want to be in names that are forgiving, that act special, so you could hold with them when the market's trending. And then when the market's not trending and it's predatory and you're losing, why hold them? You might as well revisit them after market discovery. So there's a lot that goes into the thought process to do this day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. I've been doing it for 25 plus years. And I might not have made the most in the business, but I've had a pretty nice, equal, nice career where I live a well-balanced life. And I plan to do this for another 10, 15 years and, just keep it at a nice, well-balanced pace. So this way I could sit in my seat every day and approach the market level-headed.
Okay, so Scott, so you talked about digging into pulling up the charts and digging into some individual names. I think we need to start with the big boy Palantir, which is market cap is up to about $260 billion. It's like one of the top 35 companies in the S&P now. And a lot of people are just saying, oh, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. But what do you think of
people
this?
that said it was too expensive at 20 are probably saying it's too expensive at 111. But you and I know as well that how many times have you posted the link to the post earnings playbook where we have a pro earnings gap? Okay, yes, it broke it by $1, but you could have then been long versus 99.32. That's one spot to be long against. And then if it gets through the post earnings high, which was 106, you get another move. So all in all, you take the valuation out of the way and you put the setup and the technicals, and there were a lot of people on the Alpha team that made a lot of nice money. Besides being an investor, if you're an investor, this stock has changed people's lives. There's only a few stocks that come along that are up, X 100% over the course of 3-4 years. I remember when we were talking about this years ago when it was at 11, 23, 34. The trend has been strong. We talk about the 8 and 21 day. You could have pretty much been long this, from 74 pre-earnings, okay, and then post-earnings, there were some people that had a call spread on. I did not, and then you had a great strategy thereafter. The only people who are frustrated here are the ones who have an opinion that this is too overvalued because the stock hasn't shown you that yet.
Okay. What about the
There's not many charts that look like this. There are 3 of them that we've been going over. You could probably name the other 2. Which were the 3 amigos from last year and that are still proving they're buyable? And every one of those big gap down days, these 3 stocks went green first.
Okay. What do I get if I guess them right, Scott?
Next time I see you, I'll give you a bro hug.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to guess it's DoorDash and Reddit.
Hey, you must edit the note every morning.
And both of them report earnings next week. So everybody out there, be careful.
So here's Reddit. Okay. Reddit, we've had this as a power play a bunch of times and carved out a lot of money. This looks very similar to, what's it called? A Palantir, except for it doesn't have a big gap because it didn't have numbers yet. But really coming into this year, it was really like, it was this day that it proved that it still had go-to status in my eyes, because the market gapped down, it hit the 21-day, rallied back, and then all of a sudden you could have been long that day, and then it took out a bull flag. So this 2-day move was awesome for those who trade Reddit. I have it on my note every day. Then here it even held the 8-day. Same thing, reclaimed 195, the power of reclaiming levels. And now it's a little bit extended, but this is not something you just short blindly because you think it's overvalued. This is a name that you stick to the trend changes. For me, I've been very active in Dash. Dash, I've been long this since it reclaimed the 8 and 21 day. First of all, we started putting this in the 630 club. We started doing a lot of coverage on the note. Probably, first of all, today's a topping tail. This is probably your sell signal to reduce if you use a tier system. Right around here is where, and I had to get used to it too. Listen, I have a go-to list. There are guys who brought me this name that on that August 5th bottom, it had earnings that day. And I'm like, I got to get to know this thing. And then finally I built trust. And I've been trading this thing since probably September 11th. And this trend has been awesome, to the fact where finally it's got to prove that it has go-to status again. And it did it on this day. I've been long on the alpha team since 173-ish. And every big Monday gap down, it's been buyable too. So now, if you've been trailing it, and it looks, what is this? What is this called right here, Michael? What kind of tail is that?
It is a topping tail, I believe.
And what's the endearing name in our community?
It is the something dog reversal. I can't remember. Does anybody in the audience? I don't know if it's like the green dog reversal.
No, come on. That means you get. Even my editor doesn't like to say the words anymore.
I believe it
happens so often. My teammate, my partner in crime. You see this, at least you know what we all know what it means. It means, hey, stock just had an amazing run. You could have been a buyer that dipped into the 8-day a bunch of times, broke above a nice consolidation, retested the 8 down, that other gap down, and now you have a topping tail. So some guys that asked me for my color on it because they're buying the dip aggressively. I'm like, now, to be honest, wait to at least this area because earnings are next week. So if this stock pulls back towards 192-ish, what I'll do is I'll probably take options for earnings to stay with it, because I do think once you go from the daily chart to the weekly chart, this stock, which has a tremendous cup and handle pattern, tremendous. I think I've gone over this a bunch of times. I do think that, there are guys that say this year that this thing could be, close to 300. Makes a little sense. Look at this cup and handle pattern on the weekly, just coming out of it. There's really nothing until about 225, and then you have 250, which is just where it came public. So why wouldn't it take this out? And then all the institutions that have not been selling this thing, maybe they start getting out when everyone starts getting squeezed into the 300 area.
Okay,
so there you go, Chris. The patented red dog reversal.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, Scott. So we have another high flyer reporting next week. We haven't talked about in a while. Robinhood. So Robinhood's up about 40% year to date. Stock is absolutely kicking butt. Wow, look at this nice move. It's 16-ish. So this has been a
this is the weekly chart, by the way. Wow, I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to act like those guys on TV that I haven't been in this stock. A lot of guys in the Alpha team traded, and they're like, Red Dog, you missed the whole thing. To be honest, I'm happy this is happening because I'm a private investor in Public. You probably heard a lot of the commercials out there, public.com. So if Robinhood continues, maybe that company can go public. And then, Michael, I'll take you to Sizzler, besides giving you a bro hug. But until then, this has been a great stock. They've been innovative. They came out with the trading all night. They trade crypto. The young generation, likes this and is endearing, whatever. I just can't be annotation there. It's been a big move. There are a lot of people short this one also, but guess what? Here's your gap up. And what has it been? Above the 8 and 21 day pretty much this entire time. This looks different than the names that are a drag right now, right? Where did I lose money this week? I lost money on Tesla this week.
We all did, Scott.
What?
we,
Oh, you know that,
we all did.
Oh, well, and look at this red dog reverse over right into the. I even tried it today like an idiot. But anyway, Tesla's fantastic when it's above the 821 day. This was my number one trade from 275. Hey, look, another gap and go. You could have been long versus 275. Then it held the 8 day. Then it held the 8 day again. And then finally had a red dog reversal up here, the lower high, a lower high, a lower high. And now this looks like it's headed towards the 100-day. Bounced off at 363, which was a level we spoke about. Gave you a little bit of a bounce. But what happened? Got rejected into the moving averages. This is broken. Google is broken. Big gap down. Never filled the gap. Broke below this. So you can't be holding Google. You know what gave you some clues to stay away from Google post earnings? Microsoft. Very similar. Look at that. Microsoft's been out of play since the high here in July, and it's giving you little tactical things to do, but it's been a broken name, not leading the tape. And here you have a big hole in the chart. So instead of having a gap and being above it to be long against, there are some people that if the gap doesn't get filled, they're short against it. It all depends where you want to live and how you want to trade and what you want to do. But bottom line is this is broken. Okay, got rejected into the 8 day, didn't fill this gap, and it looks lower. So those are four pretty big stocks. Someone said to me today, like, I'm buying Amazon. I'm like, Amazon didn't even give you points of reference yet today. You have a big gap down. It filled a little bit of the gap, not a lot. Other names that did the same thing are not getting a pass. Why would you be a buyer of Amazon today? You have no points of reference, except for now you have, whatever this is. So don't be in a rush. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens here. Chances are Amazon might get to 215-ish. Bottom line is, it's going to be not a special name for a little while. Okay, this gap, whatever this is right here, didn't get filled. Their guidance was a bit sour. I lost money today in this. I had a call spread, but then again, if you use a process, I'll give you an example of that. So here's the gap. This didn't get filled. It acted a little better than Google and Microsoft. Filled a little bit more of it. But the bottom, this probably gets to at least here, if not here, in my opinion. This is now broken. But anyway, so one other lesson that we could go over here, Michael, is that I did have Amazon on. Okay, Amazon. If you take a look here, Amazon is down $9. So I put on a call spread, right? I did a little bit of a lotto spread, 245 by 255. My cost was like 225. So 225 is my cost. If you put on 10 calls, what do you risk? Let's ask the guy in the audience. Okay, if you have 10 calls, it costs you 2.25. What are you risking? Come on. This is everybody who's talking in the chat room right below, so you can see what they're saying. Come on. Anybody? 225. Okay, I'll give you the answer because we don't have a lot of time. You're risking, yes, 2,200 to 50. So you're risking that. That's your risk to make, $8,000 or 7,500 or 7,700. Okay, so if you do that, that's up. If you bought 1,000 shares, which is what 10 contracts control, what are you down instead? $9,600. You lost 4 times that, and your risk was endless. So that's why during earnings season, I never take stock. I trade it sometimes after that, after hours, but risk is premium paid. So this way you don't get blindsided and you're working out of 20 days in a month, you're up on 16 of them, and then you lose your whole month or quarter because you all of a sudden get blindsided. You could have 20 contracts and you'd be down a lot more. But anyway, so this looks broken. Looks like it's going down to at least 225 or here. So I think you got to be cautious. My best trade, everyone's saying Baba. I had a great trade in Baba today. Oh my goodness. Now you have a little topping tail, fill the gap. So maybe I won't roll up the options today. But what do we have on here for the power play options? I think we had like the 95s, and we bought them at like $1.10, sold them all the way up to $5 into this. And then I bought the 105s, sold some, bought some. So I think now with this topping tail, to be honest, I'm going to wait to buy more back just because look where the 8 days. But then you look at the weekly chart, and it looks like there's a lot of room here in Baba still. Looks like, 319. It looks like you could go to 117. But again, there's room. But it all depends on how fast you want to do things. So for me, I sold a lot of them, and now I'll wait to maybe buy some more back, because numbers, I think, are coming out on the 21st now. They're not the 22nd.
Yeah, that is a fun mystery is trying to figure out when Alibaba reports earnings. So I think we need to talk about Nvidia, because they were having the going out of business sale last week. Came back, but still a big question mark for the market overall.
Nvidia has been broken since the summer. It hasn't led the market in a long time, either as the semis. So that has people shorting other things instead of the semis, which, we as traders sometimes do stupid things like that. We'll see something is really weak. Instead of shorting what's weak, we short something else that you think can become weak because that's weak. But anyway, you look real quickly at the semis. Here you have a red dog reversal, right? You had a 4-day move, got above a prior high, couldn't hold it. That's a sell rule. Maybe, Mike, if you can, find the sell rules, because people are going to need them this year. Sell rules help you navigate your tier system. So anyway, this got above, what is this, 248.43, and failed to hold it. Part of the reason why most of the semis were weaker, and then Nvidia finally gave way. Nvidia tried to show some relative strength all day, and we love to see relative strength when you're looking for clues. And guys that watch the 630 Club were part of the Alpha team. They were long Nvidia, long. On this day when it reclaimed 116.25, I don't know if you guys remember, but all of a sudden, it was like 6:25 in the morning or something, and we were doing the 630 Club, or it was with the Alpha team. The Alpha team spends the entire day with me, not just 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, Nvidia's up $1 and the SPYs are down 3. First time I've seen relative strength in Nvidia in a while. Maybe we could have a tactical long. Well, that was, I think, on this day, and we've had a nice tactical long, and it filled a little portion of this, not a whole lot, but it was a nice trade. But again, you have a high, this was a red dog reversal sell. Here was a lower high. This thing hasn't been at a high since November, so it's just hasn't been a leading trade, and I think it's more of like a source of funds at times. So, but anyway, at this point, it's kind of acting better than other things. But it's just a broken bounce into the moving averages. I guess you could kind of put this here now. We'll see if you go from 113 up to 130 comes in, and we'll see if it hangs here to start a better active sequence. But Nvidia, if you're an investor, you probably don't care. You've made a ton of money in the last 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it's been or more. As a trader, I'm just trading it tactically, and I made money in Nvidia because I took one trade. I bought it pre-market when it was down 30 cents, and I sold it when it was up $1.10. I made like $1.40 in the trade, and I didn't go back to it. I even tried to short it, but didn't do as well there as I probably could have. But anyway, let's see where Nvidia is right now. Down only 17 cents. Not so bad. Nvidia's down 17 cents. Amazon's down 10. What are the SPYs doing? SPYs are on the low of the day. So Nvidia is not doing such a horrible job here, showing relative strength. So that'll be a focus of next week to see if it continues to do that. Yeah, so you can put that like this now. So this is today's low. 127.60 will be the point of reference, and we'll see what happens next week. But it feels like we're heading towards not a great close, and hopefully people have risk down. If you look at my VTF, I don't have a lot of names on there. I actually have puts for whatever it's called for Monday, and I made some money selling premium today. And I'm not in Tesla right now. I'm not in Microsoft. I'm not in Google. I'm not in Apple. Apple looks horrible too. Tech looks horrible. Here they sold earnings at 247. I think this was the day that I went to go pick up Phoenix. And then you had a small bounce. I got rejected into the moving averages, and it just turned today. You could draw a little ascending channel here, and it just kind of breaking it now somewhat. So Apple is not somewhere where you could be hiding if you're active right now. Yeah.
Okay. You said like you're much lighter. Is that just because there's so much going on next week? There's still a bunch of earnings report. Powell's testifying, CPI. Do you just think it's risk downtime?
I'm lighter because the charts look like crap, a lot of them. A lot of my names aren't paying you to sit in them. So when a name's not special, I'm out of the way. I could be trying to find other names that are doing so great, but I'd rather stick to my 40, 50 names, and every now and then when a name comes in, I'll go there. But for now, it's, I say cash is a position. You're not to have cash, right? Cash is a position. I actually just put a bunch of money away for like 4%, and my wife's blood in the street account is in a fixed rider that maybe in the next month or two, if we go down more than 5% from the highs, which we're not, the SPYs right now are literally I don't even know it. We just almost made a high, let alone someone's like, Red Dog, you putting the blood in the street account to work? I'm like, are you joking? This is where we are. People feel as if the market's getting battered and bruised, and here we are. We were $3 from the highs of the all-time highs, let alone the highs of just the 2025. So the blood in the street account is just for when we start 5% off highs, so it hasn't been put to work yet in 2025. So I'm down because the names that I follow aren't acting special, and if you're a trader, I'd rather wait and see and be more, getting my mind set up for when I see a signal to get in there. And right now, that hasn't been the case.
Okay, so are there specific levels you're looking for that could give us resolution to either the upside or the downside?
Well, today gave you a sell signal. Like this was a sell signal up here, but by the old prior high, look at this red dog reversal that led to a big gap down, high, lower, high, lower, high. And Mag 7's acting like crap. And if Netflix and Meta start to give way, or Palantir, however you say it, we haven't even started going down yet. So I don't think there's any like clue or key or magic number right now, except for the magic number is being safe, taking some trades, and being ready to pounce when the setup's there. I'm going to be just trying to go setup by setup, I guess, because this to me is not a buy signal. If anything, this is another bearish engulfing downside day. And I think if it wasn't Trump in office, who all of a sudden you get like, oh, me and she met over the weekend and we love each other again, then we're up 50 handles. I think a lot of traders would be getting short into the weekend. So what you could do is you could use options. You could buy a put spread, so risk is premium paid, etc. But to me, this market is not awesome. It's even the IWM, looked like it was going to break above 230 and kind of failed. Now look at it, it's below the 821 day. So this is telling you, hey, you can't sit in this. So I'm not going to sit in it, and I actually had it long, and I sold it.
Yeah, well, it seems like IWM was invented just to annoy people, because it's just endlessly every time it feels like it's about to go, it just falls apart.
By the way, I see Space Specialist on here. You guys know who Space Specialist is?
Space Specialist is a superstar. Definitely, Space Specialist is like a top 10 of all time hero of ours.
So Space Specialist just actually sent me a DM saying that he made more money this week for the first time because he's been tuning into the 25-20, doing my 20-minute sauna workout with me, and which is cool. So I was the first person this week who said, hey, getting the mind right before going over the X's and O's could help you execute on the day. And that's what that subscribe button there is for. So you can press that, and it's very, very, very cool way to spend the early morning, the pregame with me. So to me, the early morning pregame, it's kind of like a football game, right? You have the football game, and then you have the talk show before, and then you have the Netflix hard like, Netflix following up around the team, and you get to see really what's going on. So, so in the morning, waking up and getting everything together and seeing the futures and framing the day, that's what that's for. And then you could execute on the X's and O's. Then you could hang out with the Alpha team that's executing all day long, pointing out news and trying to make sure everyone knows what's happening in the now. But early in the morning, in order to get your mind right, you got to do a bunch of things. You can either do it on your own, you can do it with me, or you could do it with someone that you feel like gives you some motivation and inner strength. So it was great to see Space Specialist right over here, who said that he's having a great week and is enjoying Red Dog in the Raw.
All right, let me ask Scott. I'm going to ask Scott a strange question. I've known Scott for almost 11 years now. What do you eat for breakfast? I don't know what Scott Redler eats for breakfast.
That's funny. Well, when I was in the city and I was 10 years younger and doing a lot more exercise, I would get, and I was training for the Ironman, I would get 3 egg whites and American cheese on a scooped out salt bagel because I was running so much and training so much. I needed the salt so I wouldn't dehydrate, and I had the egg whites for the protein, and I scooped it out because you don't need that. That was like 500 calories. Now I don't have breakfast. I have iced coffee, and I pretty much intermittently fast till about 1, 2 o'clock. So I'm 52. I'm now 42. I need less calories because my metabolism is slowing, and I want to stay in good shape. So it's a new routine and a new process. And I save myself a bit of money. Sometimes what I'll do is my wife will hard boil 12 eggs on a Sunday and put it in a container. And every now and then, if I want to, if I feel like I need something, I'll have 1 egg white and 1 regular hard boiled egg just to get things moving along. And sometimes I take a multivitamin and I feel a little lightheaded when I drink my water if I don't have something with it. So at this point, I just do like a hard-boiled egg, which is good protein, for someone who, who's trying to be physically fit. But rarely do I ever have like a fat boy hungover for breakfast. Maybe on a weekend, I'll if I'm not going to have lunch, I'll get everything flagel with the little scallion cream cheese and lox. But that's like once every 3 months if I'm really feeling like I did a good job doing something.
Yeah, our friend Upward Drift said Red Dog has lost weight.
I lost
Face
weight.
is thinner. You
I
do
think,
look. You do look. I will say this: the last time I saw Scott in person, your skin looks better.
well,
Like
I really think from the sauna and the ice barrel every day, the cool, like people do like cryo facials when they go to these places. They go in the cryo chamber for 3 minutes and they get a cryo. The ice, constricts your cells, and it reduces inflammation. So back in the day, remember the models would put like cucumbers on their eyes and sit there like this. I don't do that. I go in an ice barrel for 3-4 minutes and I go underwater for 18 seconds. And I think there's benefits for everything besides clearing your mind and getting set for the day, which is what, Red Dog mindset is. It also has benefits for circulation and everything. So I appreciate you saying that because, I did an event the other night where I saw 10 guys that I invited, to come, with me. And one of them looks like he's 70. The other one's overweight. The other one, I'm like, guys, you guys look like, you're 70 and you're 52 and people are telling me I look 35. So if you want to look different and have change, you better change your standards and change your routine and take some small steps. And, but anyway, some people don't care. But for me, I like to feel good. It's my inner strength. I like to look good. I like to lead by example. I like to try and give people, some good advice. My son is a really good athlete, not because he just started today. He started when he was 5. He does his push-ups. He's in the ice barrel too. He trains every day. Start him early. So for you young parents out there, if you have a young kid, start him early. Get him moving, okay? Because then they get better. And between practice and repetition and routine, you can get to where you want to be. And sometimes I got to tell my wife, shh, don't be a dream killer. Maybe he won't be in the NBA, but he could play college sports. But anyway, never be a dream killer either. Anything's always possible.
Yeah, Scott, maybe we should invent an app for like teenagers where they can only use their phones if they get a certain amount of exercise. Like you can't if you want to use Instagram, you have to go out and run 2 miles or something, or it can't come up. Okay, so our friend,
You look good too. You just started running. I've known you for a long time, and all of a sudden you started running, and you put what's it called, a race on the calendar. What race are you doing in the spring?
I'm doing the NYC Runs half marathon in Brooklyn in April.
How's that making you feel? Is your do you feel better every day? Do you feel energized, or do you feel any different or not?
I feel it's kind of weird. It's much better. I feel much better overall. It's kind of strange in some ways. I actually have a hard time sleeping after a really long run for some reason. Like I don't know, my brain gets going, but sometimes it just I'll be at I normally get up between like 4:30 and 5. I'll work a full day, go out and run 8 miles, and then I can't sleep. It's very strange.
You should do, they say take a warm shower. Cold shower for the inflammation, but a warm shower cools you down and cools your system. If you take a cold shower at night, your system wants to warm you up so that can keep you up. So I've doing a lot of reading on warm and cold therapy. So like if you want to go to sleep and relax, you do a hot tub and it relaxes you because then the body turns you off. But if you take a cold shower or something at night, to bring down your inflammation, your body warms up and it keeps your blood flowing. So it's hard. So if you can, what I would suggest is try and get out midday, do your run midday, not at night or maybe like closer to 6 o'clock. So this way, you're not as riled up.
Yeah. Well, I had to flip flop because I used to run early in the morning, like on days I'm working from home. So I'd be leaving at like the house at like 5:30 or 5:45, but the runs are getting so long that it's like, I can't even get back in time to start work.
How many
Interesting.
miles are you up to now?
The last one was 8.3, either 8.3 or 8.6.
That's awesome. And then 3 months ago, where were you?
So 4 months ago, early November, 9/10 of a mile. And I wasn't even running the whole way. I thought I was going to die running less than a mile. And now it's up to.
Now you're up to 8 miles and change. Listen.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
And at some point this year, I'm going to run a marathon in the day, even if it's not an official marathon. I'm going to run 26.2 miles in a day. But Scott, we have another important topic to talk about. This is a huge one for everybody, but Chiefs or Eagles?
I'm going for the Eagles.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a Giant fan, and I'm just pissed off what happened with Saquon. I'm a pissed off Jeff fan. My good friends actually, my good friend. So Chase's best friend Jagger, who just got slapped with the 5-star. He's a sophomore in lacrosse. He's an awesome kid. His dad and I are really good friends. He grew up with Howie Rosen, who's the GM of the Eagles, and he's been going to the games. He's on the field. He's been bringing friends. And I just, I think they're a blue collar organization where they run and pound, and the line is big. And I like Jalen. Jalen was actually my fantasy football quarterback. He did a pretty good job for me, so I have some good thoughts about him. I'm not like a Taylor Swift hater. I like Taylor Swift a lot. You should watch her documentary before you judge her. She's been working her butt off. She's not an overnight success. She's been doing it since she's 4 years old. I always say there's no overnight success. You have 15, 18 years of being an overnight success, right? Finally, you get recognized after your day in and your day out and your grind. That's why every day I say rise and grind. Be lucky that you're rising and friggin' work on your grind. So I am going for the Eagles. I'd love to see them win, but I'm not a talent hater. I like Holmes is friggin' awesome. I think Kelsey scored huge. She's gonna marry friggin' Taylor Swift. That's pretty cool stuff. So I like appreciating success. I don't root against it just because you're too. I didn't root against Tom Brady because he was too successful. Actually, Tom Brady was awesome when he took over for Drew Bledsoe. My cousin was dying of a brain tumor, and he was from Boston, and he let him on the field and watched the entire playoff run when nobody knew who he was. So anyway, if this like the Spideyman thing, what you want to see if someone has high powers and could do great things, just do it. I hate to see people in a place of influence and power doing the wrong thing. That's why that's why I got into a fight. You guys remember I got into a fight with, I'm not going to say who, because I feel like gambling is an epidemic. I feel like the kids in high school and college are being teased with the glorification of bets. And then they all of a sudden think that the stock market is a casino, which it's not. The stock market is a vehicle to build wealth over time. Have a 401k, have a 529 plan, have a 403b, build wealth over time. If you're going to trade for a living, you better have a system and a process. You better know what you're doing. If you just follow someone blindly who has none, who didn't have anything in 2021, they could drive you to the dirt. And that's what some individuals did. So I'm going to step up, because if you don't stand up, okay, you're always sitting down. All right. So, and if you stand up for a reason, chances are you could fight that battle, because the universe is not going to let you lose if it's a good battle to fight. And with that being said, I'm going with the Eagles.
Very, very, very bold. Tom Brady, even if you take away all the rings with Tom Brady, he was still like 44, 45 years old with a dad bod playing in the NFL, which is unbelievable.
It's true. Yeah, and then now, and he did a lot of beautiful. He did a lot of, crazy, awesome things. Anyway, and now he's on TV making a lot of money, and he left. Maybe he stayed 1 year too late, but it is what it is. Yeah. What else we got? How many people are online right now watching and hanging out with us? I know we got a little bit off topic.
We're up to 3,643. Our friend John Boston says, Scott, I went to the first Patriots Super Bowl parade in 2002. It was freezing cold, and a million people showed up in Boston. So, okay, so it's interesting. So, Scott, how do you survive being a Jets fan? Because every Monday I open Instagram and I see 10 million memes about the Jets. There are lots of Sopranos ones, but people crying being a Jets fan. So how are you living with that?
You know what? I don't want to, because I don't take it so seriously. I'm a Chase Redler fan. I'll go to his game. I get a lot more stressed out watching him and watching his friends perform, and worried about how he's going to do and how their team's going to do. To be honest, I always worked when I was a kid. I was on Sundays. I was the omelet man at El Torito, flipping omelets with a line out the door. When I was 13 years old and then an expediter, I never really had the weekends to sit around and watch football. And then when I was a junior and senior in high school, I was actually dancing at bar mitzvahs and emceeing Sweet 16s. And that's how I got good as public speaking. And then when I went to SUNY Albany, I paid for my college because I went home twice a month, being the president of my fraternity, busting my hump at both ends in order to not have any debt. So bottom line is I never really had time. So yes, I like to be social. I love to hang out. So, when I moved into the city, we would go like a bunch of idiots to the Jet game, sometimes take a limo. I don't even understand what we did when we were in our 20s and had fun and bet the games. And the reason why, I hate betting is because I didn't have the money at the time and I lost 8 bets in a row and I lost like $5,000 as an idiot. And I was on a payment plan for 2 years paying it back. I don't want to see anyone have that happen to them. The numbers are huge now. People are trying to commit suicide because they're starting so. But anyway, I want to get to that. But I like it. I like to see performance. I love watching, the athletes' eyes, the ones that have been getting up every day, doing 2-a-days, the 4 o'clock in the morning, the routine, the process. That's what I root for. So if the Jets can't pull it together and their management sucks and every one of their quarterbacks goes somewhere else and has a little bit of success, and you know what? I'm a local fan. Chase has no local teams. He's a Bulls fan. I don't know how. He's a San Fran fan. And, he wherever the first team he remembers when he's 2, he became a great fan of. But anyway, just don't take those, don't take your team too serious. Just don't take life too serious. If the Jets lose a bad game on a Sunday, don't bring it into your Monday. And if you bet too much money on them and you lost and went over your head, then that's your fault. So if you say, hey, that was my fault, I shouldn't be betting these games, I shouldn't be taken so serious, then all of a sudden it doesn't really impact your life the way it impacts some. But you want to root for hard work. You want to root for discipline. You want to root for a team that pulls it together, that goes against odds. That's what I root for. So it doesn't always have to be the Jets. It could just be a really good story.
Yeah, it's why we all love Kobe, giving like 109. His knees are all banged up, and he was working out like 2-3 times a day. I mean, there was a great story about him how he would refuse to leave the gym. Like if somebody came in and was working out at the same time as it, he would refuse to leave just so that guy would know that Kobe, no matter what, Kobe was going to outlast everybody.
Oh, I listened to that whole video. 100%. There's a lot of Kobe videos, and there's a whole nother, thing to learn about that. Kobe's not here. Boom, he was in a helicopter with a lot of individuals and died. You never know when your number is going to get called. So you better enjoy every day. You better work hard, get to where you want to go, because you don't know how much time you're going to have. So don't sweat the small stuff. Don't take things too seriously. But if you want to change your life, you have to make changes. You have to change your standards. You have to work harder. And in trading also, if you're over trading, or you're not honoring your stops, or you're playing the wrong names, or you're following someone blindly on TV or on wherever it is, take accountability, learn the process. I try and teach the Alpha team a process, a routine, what I do every day. I'm not going to always just be throwing bones in their doghouse, because if I'm not here, then they're never going to have a living. So it's about the process. Everyone looks at the same charts, the same MACD, the same RSI, the same chart patterns, but it's the execution on them is what's going to make a difference. Knowing how many shares you could buy, knowing what your pain tolerance is, knowing what the time frame is, not overdoing it. And that's why, again, and I'll do a shameful plug, but that's why I started Red Dog Mindset, to get the mind pregame done. And that's why there's a subscriber button up top, just to try out. Why not? Try it out. I'm in a real sauna. I'm there no matter what. For 20 minutes, I turn my little basement into a studio. So if those want to work out and get in the pre-game and the pre-thought process, you could do it. And then over the weekend, when I feed the brain, we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. But when we're in the seat, we're with the Alpha team, we're with the Redler report. If you want 40 charts, that's one thing. But if you want to be able to execute on the X's and O's and think clearly and have a time set for that, that's something else. And if you want to do it on your own, that's cool too. But just like Mike said, Mike changed his life this year. 4 months ago, he couldn't run a mile. Now he's running 8. So for all of you guys who want to make a change, make a change. Write it down. Who do you want to be in 3 months from now? What's going to take you there? They say a goal is a wish without a plan. So you better write that stuff down, my friends, and get there with all aspects of your life. That's all I got to say. What up, Joey A? How you doing, Johnny Boston? What up? By the way, Upward Drift, I see a lot. He's the man. Great. Like, I love the like minds that think ahead, or think the same, But anyway.
All right. Okay, Scott, I think that is time to close this out. Scott has 24 minutes to make more money before the close. So everybody, if you want to have a good weekend, there's only one way it's going to happen. Oops. T3live.com/show. If you want to have a good weekend, you're going to go to this link and you're going to put your friggin' email address in so you'll get Scott's free newsletter on Monday. I promise you.
By the way, you showed me the new format. Like Mike puts together a great free newsletter with a lot of value added. So if you're not feeling it, if you feel like you're not having a great month or a great week or whatnot, like this newsletter, it'll come to your inbox, and it's a portion of what I do every morning. Given to you for free. And if you start making money with it, hey, we understand that subscriptions, cost money, and there are a lot of people out there, but read this consistently. And most people that read it consistently, they say, hey, I need more of this. And then all of a sudden they start, subscribing, and they start making money, and then they start making progress. And, you have to have, some things. I have a few different things that set the tone for me for the day. The newsletter it's not, AI doesn't make it. It's getting up in the morning, having the go-to list, putting multiple plans together, putting it there, and then you understanding why, and then you could execute and make some money, and then, learn and just figure out what your next level is.
Okay, everybody have a wonderful weekend.
I know you said the Cadence newsletter. I said, I feel like I've grieved a lot because I'm seeing Cadence in there, and I have a picture with me and Cadence in this actual seat here. And I'm not crying, but it's tough, I actually, with Cadence passing away, made me a better son, because now every single day I text my mom, ask her how she's feeling. I give my dad a phone call sometimes when I'm on my way at home, because just when you lose something, you're like, holy shit, I thought it would be here forever, and some things won't be. So make sure you spend time with those you want to spend time with.
That is very good advice. Call your mom, call your dad, say I love you.
And sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah, you can listen. You don't, if you get in touch with your parents, we will absolve you from signing up for the newsletter. But do one good thing for yourself. Okay, everybody, that's enough babbling for us. 20 minutes to the close.
Yes, good luck, guys. And
bye, guys.
Just respect the moving averages, respect the candles, and just you could be a little bit more tactical. Let's just go one more time to this. This candle here. There's a bunch of candles out there like this. This is a bearish engulfing candle. If you use the sell, Mike, could you come up with just the slide for the sell rules? Sometimes everyone's like red. What?
Second.
Everyone's like, Red Dog, you always post the sell rules on a bad day. Why didn't you post it the day before? I'm like, I've been posting it for 15 years. You should have it printed out on your desk. One rule is sell some strength. The SPYs they were above 606.60, weren't they? Right? Sell strength. If you were long, which you probably should have been light after 4 days, you trim some. And then if you can't hold above a prior high, which is 606.60, okay, then you adjust more. Some people might have even got short, saying, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for it to get above and fell. Now I could short verse 608.13. Okay. Then if all of a sudden the trade changes, look at the power right here. If the market was going to be strong, would it have held 602? Yes, it didn't. So not only did it not hold a prior high where you could have sold strength, you could have adjusted, it now took out a prior low. So this candle is showing more power. Granted, it's still here's a low. Maybe it holds here, but I'm just saying, candlestick bar by bar analysis works if you trade actively for a living. And those sell rules have kept a lot of the alpha team in our community safe for a long time. So print them out so you have them. Always have them rehearsed in your brain based on your positions. You could always revisit, so then this way you don't get wiped out. And just continue to work on the process. You could do this. It could be done. I've been doing it for 30 years, and usually out of 30 years, or just say even out of a year, 1 year, in 1 year, usually you get 3 really good months of trading, or 3 really good active sequences to whichever way you go. Usually there's 2 or 3 to the long side. Maybe there's 1 or 2 to the downside, and the rest is choppy noise where you better be patient, you better be disciplined, and you better be very selective and not give back money when you make it, and not overtrade and lose it, and just follow that process, so this way you can net money and provide life for your family.
Okay, everybody, Google Scott Redler sell rules. Just go to Google, type in Scott Redler sell rules. They will be the first thing that came up. Okay, so this is goodbye for real this time. We've covered pets, we've covered parents, we've covered the newsletter, we've covered sell rules. So everybody, this time for real, goodbye. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend.